Hi everyone, this is Sean. Welcome back to my channel. Please press the like button, subscribe, share, comment. I'm always looking forward to the dialogue. In today's video, we're going to concentrate on situational awareness. In particular, let's talk about the near 90-degree bends at the elbow. Before we delve into the subject, I just want to give you a little backstory on today's topic. So I'm on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, if you want to find another way to connect with me and my content, just type in the firearms trainer. That's my account. I was watching a post or a video that one of the content creators on an Instagram profile that goes by the name of Street Cop Training that they made, and they talked about the 90-degree bends at the elbow. And I've never heard this concept, and it makes total sense. So what you're looking for is a near 90-degree bend when the subject reaches in their waistband or they reach in their front pants pocket, when they reach into their rear pocket. And for those who wear a sweatshirt, and for those subjects who place their hands in that kangaroo pocket right in the middle, you want to look for a near 90-degree bend as well. It's not perfectly 90 degrees, but it's near 90 degrees. And what this does is it basically serves as a pre-attack indicator. When you see that 90-degree bend, okay, this person is about to produce either a knife, a bludgeoning instrument, or even a firearm. And in order to grab this object, they almost need to make that 90-degree bend, okay, right at the elbow. And that's what you want to look for. I believe that this skill set, if you learn this observation well and you use it on the field, I think it actually can save your life. So feel free to share this content with your partners. If you are a supervisor, share this with your subordinates. If you're the owner of the company, share this with your staff. This is a technique, this is an observation technique that could save someone's life. If you see somebody making a 90-degree bend at the elbow when they're reaching into a pocket, please don't do this. If you're armed, don't just start opening fire, guys. This is a pre-attack indicator. It's a pre-attack. It doesn't mean that this person is attacking you yet. And also, this is not a surefire method. Just because somebody makes that 90-degree bend in a pocket, that doesn't mean that they're going to produce a weapon. They could be, if they have asthma, they could be grabbing an inhaler. If there's a wallet in there, they could be grabbing a wallet. But usually when there's a bend, they're grabbing something. Okay? So in order to open fire, okay, you probably want to see a firearm being presented to you. Or even you want somebody to present a knife in a threatening manner. Okay, and then that's when you could consider lethal force. But just because somebody puts a 90-degree bend or shows you that 90-degree bend in the elbow doesn't mean you start opening fire, you guys. I don't want to be showing the wrong concept. Okay? Now, what should you do if somebody makes this 90-degree bend? Now, my recommendation is you have to look at all the totality of the circumstances. If you're working loss prevention and you just need to talk to somebody and question them about what's in their purse or something like that. If you see that 90-degree bend, that doesn't mean, okay, it's not a telltale sign that they're about to attack you. What you have to do is devise a plan. When you see that 90-degree bend, what are you going to do? Okay, and my advice or my suggestion, my opinion, and that's all it is I would move out of the way. And remember, there's a certain span of movement that people can make with their arms, okay? So if they have a weapon, okay, they do this, they can only go so far until they have to shift their hips or their legs. Same thing with this. If you're able to move to a position that is beyond their span of reach, that's going to buy you some time. You move out of the way. And it happens not to be a weapon, okay, then that's great. And that's what's going to happen most of the time. Some of you might be wondering, Sean, can I pat them down for weapons if I think that they have a weapon? And we need to discuss that. If you force a pat down, so if you're giving somebody directive, okay, put your hands on top of your head, interlace your fingers, separate your feet. You go behind them, you grab the fingers, okay, you throw them off balance to pat them down. Some of you may have learned this in the military as a police explorer, a police cadet, or maybe you learned this in some police academy training setting, okay? Once you touch that person and you get them in that grasp, what you're essentially doing is you're committing a battery. You're touching that person. And what gives you the legal defense against a battery charge would be that you're affecting a private person's arrest. Now, notice I meant arrest. I didn't say detention. Security officers in a lot of states do not have the authority to detain. And I just found this out talking to my Las Vegas people. Las Vegas is just like California. You do not have the ability to detain in most circumstances. Sometimes if you're connected to a government account, sometimes when you are exercising the merchant privilege rule, so basically you're investigating some type of theft incident, then it's my opinion that in Las Vegas and in California, you can make that temporary detention. That's really the only time. So you're basically stuck with an arrest. So if you go hands-on this person, okay, you have to have a legitimate arrest. There's no detention, guys. If your state allows you to detain, I want to see what state you're in. I want to see what case law it is, or I want to see what statute it is. What law or what code allows you to do that in your state? So comment below if you do have the authority to detain. And what's the difference between a detention and an arrest? Well, when you detain somebody, okay, you're depriving them of liberty temporarily while you investigate the crime. Whereas if you are making a private person's arrest, okay, you're depriving that person temporarily also of liberty. They're not free to leave, but your intention is to deliver them to law enforcement, to follow through with criminal procedure. And that's the main difference, guys. Also, something to think about is, as a private security officer, can you give someone a lawful order, just like I told you, or I described not too long ago, to stop, turn around, put their hands on top of their head, interlace their fingers, separate their legs? What gives you authority to do that? Now, as a law enforcement officer, you have authority in most circumstances to do that. The case law decision is called Terry versus Ohio. It's basically your stop and frisk law. A law enforcement officer, if they believe that you are engaging in criminal activity, if that officer has reasonable suspicion that criminal activity is afoot, and believe that you may be armed, that law enforcement officer, that police officer, can conduct a stop and frisk. He or she can prevent you from leaving. He or she can grab your fingers, okay, that are behind your back or to the lower part of your back, and physically pat you down for weapons. As a security officer, Terry versus Ohio does not apply to you. That applies to law enforcement officers, not you as a private security officer. That's something to keep in mind. And that's why it's so much more dangerous, in my opinion, to be a security officer, because you can't give somebody a directive to do that. Now you can. Let me talk about that real quick. So if as a law enforcement officer, if they don't obey your commands, they don't listen to what you're telling them, and it's a lawful order, in most states, that law enforcement officer can arrest you for resisting arrest or delaying an investigation. That's a prosecutable offense in most states. As a security officer, if you give somebody an order and they don't listen, you cannot arrest them in most circumstances for resisting an arrest, for delaying a peace officer. You can't. That law doesn't apply to you in most circumstances. What you're depending on is compliance. If this is an officer safety issue, and remember, security officers can't really use officer safety. You can use the laws of self-defense, but you have to be able to articulate that. But depending on the circumstance, as a security officer, you can give them the command. There's just no enforcement authority if they don't listen to your command. If they listen to your command, then that's great. And actually, most people will listen to your command. If you're investigating a burglary alarm and then somebody's leaving the premises through one of the open doors or open windows, okay, you give them commands. I want to say most of the time that they're going to listen, obviously depending on the entire context. If they listen to you, then that's better. But remember, if they don't listen to you, then you can't arrest them for delaying a peace officer or resisting arrest. Even in a traffic stop, you guys, when you are getting a citation, that is technically a legal arrest. And the peace officer can give you commands such as can you keep your hands on the steering wheel? Actually, keep your hands on the steering wheel is a command. Can you is a question. So keep your hands on the steering wheel, okay? They can do that, you guys, law enforcement. But as a security officer, you can't. So you got to be a little bit more creative. So I recommend that when you give these orders or you contact these people, that you go behind a position of cover and give these directives. Private security. Stop. Don't move. Face away from me. Slowly remove both of your hands from your pockets. Put both of your hands on top of your head. Interlace your fingers. Separate your feet wider, wider, wider. Do not look at me. Do not look at me. Remain in that position. You want to say this from a position of cover just in case they don't listen to you, just in case you see that 90-degree angle and splits of a second right before they grab that item and then or that weapon and then they produce it. They produce it on you. You'll have that time to react. And that's what you need as a private security officer. Time to react. Go to that position of cover, guys. Now remember, you got to be really quick. Once you see that 90-degree angle, you gotta move quick. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Hopefully it helps. Hopefully you could pass it on to your staff. You could also pass it on to your partners, fellow co-workers. Take care, guys. Looking forward to the dialogue.